It started last Thursday in the light circle when we were doing the uh, our intention as we work together was to assist humankind and direct our attention to those who are on the cusp of a deeper awakening. And what happened in that meditation was is that it wasn't just who we thought was on the cusp of a deeper awakening, but really everybody and all of humanity was on the cusp of a deeper awakening. And so holding the sacred geometry formations of that light circle as people on a divine soul level joined us, and as that rippled out, it was very interesting because we were also attracting people that weren't normally able to resonate in because the vibrations are normally so strong. But this was so multi-layered that there was literally space for any and everybody to vibrate in. And also there were elements of the earth that was vibrating in. So it's like this whole structure is on the cusp of a deeper reawakening. And at the end of that light circle, I literally had so much energy running through me that I had to get off. I said, okay, I need to go. And that's what sent me on this trajectory that I never would have imagined. And it was sending me into dimensions and awarenesses and illuminations that I hadn't even thought to ask about. They were just coming in. Because when you do light work for other people, when you give of service, this divine light is moving through you. So anything that you ask for somebody else, you need to receive that in order to transmit it. And so, I mean, the giving is the receiving is the giving. It's that dynamic that's in play. And so as you step into this whole new unknown, there's going to be pieces of information that come to you or experiences that happen that the human tendency is to want to put them into known boxes, but you cannot do that or you will do yourself a disservice. You will do yourself a disservice. I cannot emphasize that enough. And so last Thursday after the light circle, it's like, oh, I'm speaking of my own experience, but I've seen this with me in my life over the arc of the last 35 years of growth. And I've seen it with the arc of all of my clients all along the way of those 35 years. And so what you do is you have the experience, you let the vibrations resonate in your body and your being and your psyche and your emotional body and your mental body, your heart bodies, your soul bodies, all of the different layers of you. You just let those vibrations resonate. They're deeper. And then the illuminations would come to you as your mental body is able to handle them. So it's not only vibrational, but it's also really important that you let go of what you think you know so that what you know that you know can rise up from your divine soul knowing. And so, yeah, this has just been a really interesting week because sometimes the vibrations have just been so strong, it's hard to stay in my body. And this is when it's really, really important to give. This is the second step of the basic activation where you give your love and deep appreciation to all of the aspects of Mother Earth, all of the aspects. That is all of the elements, all the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the air kingdom, all of those levels, all of the beings that live in and on the earth. I mean, we are all so quantum entangled that you give your love to earth and you receive it in return. And then that way it goes beyond grounding you. This isn't about grounding you. This is about letting go and really being in the flow of all there is. And it can feel like a tsunami, but it will only drown you if you try to hold on and try to put it into old boxes. It will not drown you. It will always take you to a new sense of purpose and new awarenesses of love, divine love and human love, divine love in you. The deeper you go in you, the more you have to give to others. And so one of the things that I've been spending a lot of time doing is traveling between the molecules and just in the consideration of cosmic consciousness and how cosmic consciousness is flowing through me and I am flowing in it. And inherent in that cosmic consciousness is the infinite intelligence, omniscient wisdom, and omnipotent unconditional love of the creator or the all or God or Allah. Or all of those names are way too small for what this is. They're all way too small. I think in a lot of respects, the Hebrew nation had it right when they said they will not name it. Because then that allows, I just had goosebumps as I said that, because then it allows you to grow and at the same time be very humble to the vessel that you're in. And in that humility, it stops you from doing some of the really preponent hubris things that we are taught to do in the human experience. But so playing around in between the molecules and all of this, 2 nights ago, I was working some in Procreate on my iPad with my Apple Pencil and drawing and designing and also using it to play games, et cetera, et cetera. And so I said, okay, now it's time to close up the electronics. I put the Apple Pencil on my table here. I closed up the iPad, plugged in my phone, set the alarm, closed the computer thing, and I went to bed. Okay, so crazy dreams. Just crazy dreams, just a crazy meditation. When I say crazy, have no words yet, just have no words. And I wake up the next morning and I have my coffee. I open my little iPad. I think I'm going to finish that little design. There's no Apple Pencil. I'm like, oh, where's the Apple Pencil? I live by myself. Where's my Apple Pencil? So, I'm looking under the table. I'm looking under this, thinking maybe it rolled off. Who knows? So now I'm turning the house upside down. There's no Apple Pencil. So now there's only been 2 people in the house. There's no Apple Pencil. That was 2 days ago. Naturally, I've taken it into meditation and I've asked, and it comes across very clearly that this Apple Pencil is not in this house. And I said, well, did I take it outside the house? No, but this Apple Pencil is not in the material inside this house. And I said, all right, then either I did it or somebody got capricious with me. And the answer was, well, you did it. And so then the question is, well, how? And I want it back. Okay, so now I'm sitting down, and now here's the humility pill. Because you think, going back to last week with the reawakening, okay? And all of these travels and all of this and hanging out in between the molecules and stuff. So I sit down in meditation, and it has been years since this has happened to me. And I'm like, okay, I want the Apple Pencil. So all of the human hubris that I have from all of the experience that I have, I say exactly where I want it to appear. And of course, it doesn't appear. So then I'm looking into, these are all the principles that I teach. So now I'm looking into, okay, divine light only thinks in the positive. So how did I frame that I want the Apple Pencil to be there? So I was very clear. I want the Apple Pencil that was on that desk that I was using. I was doing this yesterday. Yesterday, I wanted to rematerialize on my table right there. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, do I have to do anything else? Nope. That's all I got to do? Yep. I'm like, okay, cool. So I finished my meditation, open my eyes. It's not there. So it's like, WTF, I'm not happy. So I start looking again. I'm thinking, okay, and I go look out in the garden. Okay, now see, that's the key. That's the key. You got to really hold it and stay in it, that you want that to happen. And there's no other option. It's like a now hear this with yourself. So I was willing to accept the failure. That's okay. And it's okay, because that just gives me the measure of, okay, where am I on this? Okay. And it's very, very important to have the measure of where you are, because oftentimes we like to start from where we like to believe we are instead of working from where we actually are. And this is where the humility pill comes in. Don't go searching, but when they come, pop them. Take that pill, because that gives you the measure of where you are. Anyway, so last night, going to bed, vibrations are running through my body. I mean, really, it's just insane. It's just literally, it's like the bed is vibrating. I got vibrations running through my body. I'm like in between the molecules. And I was like, okay. I said, can we talk about this Apple Pencil? And I get this, no. And I'm like, well, so that's not the thing that's on my plate? No. I said, well, I'd like to have that Apple Pencil, but you can have that Apple Pencil, but it's not what's on your plate right now. And I'm like, well, okay, well, then what's on my plate? More of the bilocation work? Nope, that's not on your plate. I'm like, well, what's on my plate? And it's cosmic consciousness. You need to stay on that flow. You need to understand, you're ready to understand what that is on a deeper level. So I'm like, okay. So I'm very amenable, very agreeable. Lip service. You give lip service to divine light, you don't get a whole lot of good, sloppy, wet kisses back in return. So I say, okay, cosmic consciousness. Okay. Okay, well, wait, before I do cosmic consciousness, let me just double check how so-and-so doing. Let me send them light. Okay, cosmic consciousness. It's like, okay, well, wait a minute, hang on. I'm going to get to that just 1 second. Let me just send light to this person because I know they're going through a hard time. This is called, you're doing good service, you're sending good light, but this is definite spiritual deviation. And light workers don't like to admit that they do spiritual deviation, but we do it all the time. Because it's like we've either jumped into the next level, and here's the thing. When you've jumped into the next level, there is a little scrambling period as you readjust. And so we'll do spiritual deviation either just before we jump to that next level, we jump off that diving board into the unknown, or we're actually here and there's that little readjustment period. So I'm in the readjustment period of what I'm not even sure yet, because I'm still allowing the pieces to come in. But anyway, so this little spiritual deviation thing went on for, I don't know, I think about a good hour. Is my carrot to keep me on track. And I'd be lying if I didn't say there wasn't even a good 5-minute moment today where I was looking at finances saying, how much does a new Apple Pencil cost? And I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. The thing is only 6 months old. Keep going. Keep going. Anyway, so this is what's going on in my world. And if I were to do it in closing, I would say, recognize what cusp you're on. Don't think you have it down pat. Recognize what cusp you're on and jump. And if you don't recognize what cusp you're on, ask to jump anyway. Jump anyway. And then enjoy the ride, because it may or may not be filled with missing Apple Pencils, but it will be filled with more information, and it will be filled with more love, and it will be filled with a greater sense of excitement for what's going on in your world. And more importantly, you will allow yourself to be filled more fully in the human vessel with infinite unconditional love. And the more filled you are with infinite unconditional love, then the more you'll be able to give that to others in service. And that's the essence of why we're here.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for being interested in learning on how to live your light more fully and freely with emotional freedoms that you haven't even yet begun to dream of, and that gives you the courage and clarity to live your divine soul purpose. Now, just so that I play well with the algorithms here on YouTube, be sure to like the video. Please leave me a comment, because I do love more two-way conversations, and subscribe if you want to stay in touch with any of the new material that I'm putting out there.